Yo, what's going on? Mike from Mike Talk Sports. Lately, there's been a lot of drama surrounding Zion Williamson, the former number one pick of the 2019 draft. In today's video, I'm going to be breaking down some of the drama that has surrounded Zion's career, and more importantly, I'm going to be predicting whether Zion can bounce back to still have an incredible Hall of Fame caliber career, because he has been a Hall of Fame talent every single time he stepped foot on an NBA court. It's really whether he can put together a consistent career at this point. Not only am I going to be giving my prediction, but I'm going to have the 101 self-help book for Zion Williamson to revive his career, brought to you by yours truly, Mike from Mike Talk Sports. So without further ado, let's get into it. First and foremost, let's get the biggest deterrent of Zion Williamson's entire career out of the way. No, it's not Pretty Woman who walked the streets of New Orleans. It's the injuries. He's played 114 games in the last 4 years, meaning he's averaged 28 and a half games a season. That's absolutely atrocious. You cannot put together a good career only playing about 29 games a season. So looking down and breaking down some of his injuries in the past, in 2019, he tore his right meniscus in the preseason of his rookie year, which caused him to miss the first 44 games of his rookie season. Definitely a bad start to his career. After recovering from that right knee injury, he played phenomenal in his rookie year, putting up great stats. Per recording of this video, his career averages are 25.8 points per game, 7 rebounds per game, on 60.8% from the field, which is all-time great, historically incredible field goal percentage and efficiency from Zion Williamson. And 34% from 3 on a small sample size is pretty respectable, but at the end of his rookie year, that right knee flared up again, which caused him to miss the end of his rookie season. So a rookie year barred with injury, but there was a lot of positivity surrounding him going into his sophomore year, considering how good he did play as a rookie. And in his sophomore season, it was actually looking really promising in terms of the injury. To this date, this is the season in which we got the largest sample size for Zion Williamson. When you're watching this video, the majority of the highlights come from this season because he ended up playing about 61 games in this year, which is by far the most of his career. Now, at this point, there was really no lower body injuries that he had in this year. The only reason he did miss some of that time in his sophomore season was he had a right hand injury, specifically his thumb, that kept him out for about a month. Going into the third season, this was Zion Williamson's year. He was going to have an incredible season. He was going to break out as a top 15 player in the NBA, a top 10 offensive threat in the NBA. He was going to be in the All-Star game. He was going to make an All-NBA team. He was going to carry this really nice Pelicans roster at this point with Brandon Ingram, who has emerged as an All-Star at this point. He was going to bring them to a top 3 seed in the West, but of course this did not happen. Some rumors started to circulate in the offseason about Zion Williamson being extremely heavy, allegedly being over 300 pounds. Now, these rumors came to a head in the following offseason as well, but in this offseason, it was a bit of an unknown whether this was true or not, and his immaturity started to kind of come to a head with the lack of preparation he was making for the season, and now these rumors were somewhat confirmed as he hadn't been working out, and the reason he hadn't been working out was, of course, because he suffered a significant injury. Now, to this day, it's still somewhat of a mystery and a question mark how he sustained this injury, but nonetheless, in his third season, he didn't play a single game because of this right foot injury that he did sustain. Now, this injury was not supposed to keep him out that long. In November of 2021, the Pelicans released a statement not only to their shareholders, not only to the season ticket holders, but to the entire NBA, saying Zion Williamson is about to be medically cleared, he's completely healthy, and he's going to play the majority of this season. This, of course, did not end up getting true. He did not get medically cleared once this entire entire season, and Zion Williamson somewhat started beefing with the Pelicans front office behind scenes. He was pretty pissed that they made this public announcement in November of 2021 saying he's healthy, because the Pelicans doing this was shifting the attention, shifting the pressure from the organization solely onto Zion's shoulders. Whether this is right or wrong is up for you to decide in the comment section below, but nonetheless, this was when Zion Williamson's injuries and him missing times, to me, this is when it started to go from physical injuries to there starting being question marks surrounding, is he mentally fit to even suit up in front of thousands of fans in the stadium, millions of fans watching, and actually compete at a high level. There was starting to be question marks again mentally, not only physically, and this is really a key turning point for the worse for Zion Williamson's career. That brings us to this season, and in this season, those mental rumors were somewhat confirmed to be true as he sustained a hamstring injury, but this hamstring injury, according to most doctors, shouldn't keep you out nearly as long as it ended up keeping Zion Williamson out. Again, he had a hamstring injury that was supposed to be healed in about a month, and it ended up having him out the majority of the season. And at this point in time, Zion Williamson had already gotten a huge second contract, in fact, a max contract in the NBA, so he's already been paid by the Pelicans organization. At this point, the New Orleans Pelicans fans in the front office and his teammates, quite frankly, are starting to get really frustrated with Zion. He's gotten his bag. He's the first pick in the draft. They have a good roster. They've done a very good and competent job at filling this roster post Anthony Davis, and still this is not good enough for Zion Williamson. I alluded to early, I would be giving some pointers and tips to Zion Williamson in this video. And first and foremost, he needs to work on his body and his physique and just the physical realm of his body to get to a good sweet spot of what he wants to do on the basketball court while being able to stay healthy. Now, of course, a staple of Zion Williamson's game is being stronger, is being more powerful, is weighing more than the guy he's guarding, because that allows him to get around the rim. And where Zion Williamson is best at is around the rim. I always look at all-time great finishers like LeBron James, like Michael Jordan, and I feel the same exact way about Zion Williamson in the sense of take away their dunk, it does not matter at all. These guys are incredible dunkers, but make no mistake about it, their ability to finish around the rim without dunking is absolutely incredible. And that's something that really jumps out to me with Zion Williamson's game. The touch around the rim that he does have, the angles in which he can make a basket in terms of not only where he is on the floor near the paint, but more importantly, where he puts the ball in the paint. He has that rare Kyrie Irving ability to put a certain amount of backspin on the ball so it gets in. So I would tell Zion, dude, you don't need to dunk as much as you do. You don't have to have as much hard landings on your lower body as you do. Focus more about finishing around the rim. Focus less about these powerful dunks and get to a good, solid, healthy playing weight that is indicative of staying healthy, because at the end of the day, he's still going to be a very powerful guy, even if he does shred off about 20 pounds. So if I was Zion Williamson, I would try to, over the next 3 seasons, at some point get to about a 9% body fat percentage. If he did so, he would look like a completely different human being, honestly, because I don't even think he's anywhere close to a 9% body fat percentage. And get to about 280 pounds. That should be the most Zion Williamson should weigh in the NBA. Ideally, he should probably weigh about 260 pounds. I think at this point in his career, that's a bit too much to ask for. But again, if he could hit that sweet spot of being about 9% body fat percentage, that would be ideal. Now, second and arguably more importantly, how should he get his mental game right? Well, of course, there's been a bunch of rumors that he's sleeping with a bunch of adult content stars. I can't say what they actually are. I don't want to get destroyed by the YouTube algorithm here, but you guys get what I'm alluding to. Zion Williamson is really reaping the benefits of being a superstar. I'm not saying that the majority of people wouldn't do exactly what Zion is doing. Zion Williamson's a guy who grew up as a very introverted human being, and I think that is a key to this story here, guys. Whenever you have a very introverted person who, let's be honest, didn't get that many girls growing up, not because he couldn't, just because he was very introverted. So once he gets into the stardom at 19 years old, he's like, I want to start getting girls. I want to start doing drugs. That was a whole other thing surrounding this adult star, kind of exposing Zion Williamson's life that I think a lot of people missed out on. According to this woman, I don't know if we can trust her or not, but according to her, all Zion does is sit back and smoke weed all day. And that is not indicative of performing at the highest level. So in my opinion, Zion needs a change of scenery. It really is not New Orleans' fault or the Pelicans' fault for Zion turning out to be this way, but it really reminds me of Markelle Fultz in the sense of he was never going to consistently play with the 76ers because of all the mental turmoil until he got to the Magic, where he's out on the court every single given opportunity unless his physical health does not allow him to do so. So I think really closing this chapter in his life, becoming a significantly more mature human being, closing the chapter with all of the friends you've made in New Orleans, and start off in a new city, preferably a city similar to Orlando in the sense that it's not this insanely huge market. He's not in New York. He's not in Los Angeles. Let him go to somewhere like Milwaukee, not specifically the Bucks in terms of the organization, but let him go to a very small market where he's meeting some more wholesome human beings, let's be completely honest. And lastly, I genuinely think Zion Williamson needs to have a conversation with himself, look himself in the mirror and say, do I love basketball? Because Zion Williamson is never a guy, even dating back to high school, watching his high school highlights, is he one of those guys who just reeked love of basketball? Is he one of those guys that just oozed the love of the game out of his body with the emotions that he displayed at Duke or in high school or in the NBA? No, he hasn't. I'm not too sure how much Zion Williamson loves basketball, I'll be completely honest. So I think he needs to do certain things in his life to reignite the flame and the passion that he has for basketball, because I do think it is deep down somewhere inside of Zion Williamson. I just don't think that flame is burning at the moment. Considering Zion already got paid, he should put millions and millions of dollars not only into his physical health, getting a dietitian, hiring a full-time chef, hiring somebody to monitor his body fat percentage, hiring a really good trainer. Not only that, but he needs to hire a really good mental team, a really good sports psychologist, a really good therapist, and start to bring back some of those friends that he did have in his life that don't give a shit that he's a basketball player. They don't care that he's famous. They just like Zion for Zion. That's what I would do if I was Zion Williamson. This was a pretty long-winded video, so I'll end it here. Let me know in the comment section below if you want a part 2 on the Zion Williamson Chronicle and if you want more of my thoughts on it. But thanks for listening, guys. Let me know in the comment section below what are your thoughts on this entire Zion Williamson situation.